Most people think change begins with motivation, or discipline, or some dramatic decision made late at night, but the truth is far quieter than that. It begins with a single step, one foot leaving the ground, one foot touching it again. Nothing flashy, nothing heroic, and yet in that exact moment, something extraordinary switches on inside your body. Scientists often describe walking as a silent trigger because the instant your foot hits the ground, your biology wakes up. Systems that were resting suddenly lean forward, listening, ready to respond. You don't feel it, but your body knows immediately that something important has begun. The moment you start walking, your body does not wait for permission. It reacts. Muscles tighten ever so slightly, nerves fire messages upward, and your brain receives a quiet but urgent signal that movement has started. This message spreads fast. Your heart rate lifts from its resting rhythm. Your breathing deepens without you thinking about it. Blood flow redirects itself toward the muscles preparing to work. It all feels gentle, almost effortless, but under the surface, your metabolism is already shifting gears. This is not exercise yet. This is awakening. Inside your cells, energy demand rises instantly. ATP, the molecule that powers nearly everything your body does, begins to get used more quickly. In response, your body accelerates its production. Enzymes that were idle a moment ago spring into action, scanning your internal environment for available fuel. Glucose, fats, oxygen, all of it becomes part of a quiet calculation happening faster than conscious thought. You may feel calm, relaxed, even bored, but your cells are suddenly alert and busy. What's fascinating is how quickly your body commits to this new state. Within the first minute of walking, your physiology begins adapting for efficiency. Muscles become more responsive. Energy pathways light up like dim hallways suddenly switched on. Your internal engine doesn't roar, it hums. And this matters because walking is not about shock or stress, it's about persuasion. You are gently convincing your body to move into a more powerful metabolic rhythm, one that deepens the longer you stay in motion. Scientists call this early phase the acute activity response. It's the bridge between rest and movement, where your body chooses speed over perfection. At first, it reaches for the fastest fuel available, glucose, stored in your bloodstream and muscles. Glucose is quick, accessible, and reliable. It allows your body to meet immediate energy needs without delay. This is why the first few minutes of walking feel easy, even if you haven't exercised in a while. Your body planned for this. As you continue walking, subtle hormonal changes begin unfolding. Adrenaline rises just enough to sharpen alertness, not enough to make you anxious or tense. This small increase signals your tissues to mobilize energy more efficiently. It tells your body to stay ready, to stay adaptable, just in case this movement lasts longer than expected. Even if you're only strolling through your neighborhood, your biology treats it as a meaningful event. Your lungs respond next. Oxygen demand increases, and your breathing naturally deepens to match it. You don't consciously decide to breathe differently. Your body handles that for you. This steady rise in oxygen intake is critical because oxygen is the key that unlocks long-term energy systems. With each step, your metabolism ramps up, increasing calorie burn almost immediately. Not aggressively, not dramatically, just enough to signal that the idle state is over. And here's the part most people miss. Even though walking feels relaxed, your cells are operating in a completely different rhythm than when you're sitting still. They're beginning to prepare for fat use, not burning it yet, but opening the door. This preparation phase is essential because fat metabolism is slower and more complex than glucose metabolism. It needs time, oxygen, and the right hormonal environment. Walking provides exactly that. Fat cells are often misunderstood as lazy storage units, but they are anything but passive. They are active endocrine organs, constantly communicating with the rest of your body. The moment you start walking, fat cells receive signals that energy demand is rising. This signal alone changes their behavior. Even before fat is released, fat cells begin preparing to contribute. As your muscles warm up, they release molecules called myokines. These tiny messengers travel through your bloodstream and speak directly to fat tissue. Their message is simple but powerful. Movement is happening. Energy may be needed. Get ready. This communication primes fat cells for lipolysis, the process of breaking down stored fat into usable components. Without this step, fat burning would be slow and inefficient. At the same time, insulin levels begin to shift. Because your muscles are now pulling glucose directly from the bloodstream without needing insulin's help, overall insulin concentration starts to fall. This matters more than most people realize. Insulin is one of the main hormones that keeps fat locked inside fat cells. When insulin drops, those locks loosen. Fat cells become more willing to release stored energy. Inside each fat cell, triglycerides sit packed together like tiny droplets of oil. When the signal arrives, enzymes wake up. One of the most important is hormone-sensitive lipase. Its activation marks the beginning of fat breakdown. Triglycerides are split into fatty acids in glycerol, which are then released into the bloodstream. This is the moment fat officially leaves the cell. It doesn't vanish, it moves. Those fatty acids travel through your blood and are absorbed by working muscles. Unlike glucose, which requires tight regulation, fatty acids flow more freely into muscle cells. Once inside, they are transported to the mitochondria, the structures responsible for energy production. This is where fat truly begins its transformation. Inside the mitochondria, fatty acids enter a process called beta oxidation. This is a step-by-step breakdown that releases energy gradually and efficiently. It's not explosive, it's steady. This is why walking feels sustainable. Your body is no longer chasing quick fuel, it is drawing from deep reserves designed to last. Walking is uniquely suited for this process. High-intensity exercise demands energy too quickly, forcing the body to rely heavily on glucose. Walking, on the other hand, gives your system time. Time to mobilize fat, time to transport it, time to burn it cleanly. This is why walking allows fat to take center stage without overwhelming your nervous system. Mitochondria are often described as powerhouses, but that description barely scratches the surface. During walking, mitochondria don't just produce energy, they adapt, they become more efficient, they communicate with other cells, they send signals that influence inflammation, hormone sensitivity, and even aging. This is one of the most exciting discoveries in modern biology. With regular walking, your cells begin creating more mitochondria, a process known as mitochondrial biogenesis. More mitochondria mean better endurance and a faster baseline metabolism. It means your body becomes better at using fat, not just during walks, but throughout the day. This is how walking changes you even when you're not walking. Scientists long searched for the point where warming up becomes meaningful metabolic change, and again, 30 minutes emerges as a key threshold. In the first minutes of walking, glucose dominates, but as time passes, fat oxidation steadily increases. Around the 30-minute mark, this shift becomes fully established. By this point, hormones align in your favor. Insulin remains low. Adrenaline supports fat release without stress. Glucagon helps guide your metabolism towards stored energy. Oxygen consumption reaches a steady state, allowing fat oxidation to proceed smoothly. Your body is no longer testing the activity, it is committed to it. This is why 30 minutes is not a random number, it's a metabolic milestone. At this point, your body is operating in a fat-focused mode, conserving glucose and tapping into long-term energy reserves. This environment allows fat cells to release energy consistently, not in bursts, but in a steady stream. As glucose availability slowly declines, your body sees opportunity, not danger.
Enzymes involved in glucose metabolism step back, while enzymes responsible for fat oxidation step forward. Hormonal signals support the transition. Most people don't feel this shift, but internally, it's one of the most important changes for long-term fat loss. The more often your body experiences this transition, the better it becomes at it. Over time, your metabolism learns flexibility. It learns to switch fuels efficiently. This is why people who walk daily often feel more energetic, more stable, and mentally clearer. Their bodies are no longer dependent on constant sugar. Here's something most people never learn. Fat doesn't disappear. It doesn't melt away. When fat is burned, its carbon atoms combine with oxygen and leave your body as carbon dioxide. You exhale most of the fat you lose. The rest becomes water and exits through normal processes like urine and sweat. Fat loss is chemistry, not magic.
As fat cells release their contents repeatedly, they shrink. Blood flow to fat tissue improves with regular walking, allowing hormonal signals to reach fat cells more effectively. Over time, gene expression inside fat cells changes. Genes associated with storage quiet down. Genes involved in breakdown and inflammation control become more active. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. Every walk is a small request for energy. Fat cells respond a little each time. Weeks pass, months pass, the changes accumulate. Walking doesn't punish your body, it trains it. Beyond fat loss, walking transforms the brain. Neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine rise gently, improving mood and focus. Blood flow increases to areas involved in decision-making and creativity. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor is released, supporting neural repair and protecting against cognitive decline. Appetite hormones recalibrate. Hunger becomes steadier. Cravings soften. Inflammation decreases as muscles release anti-inflammatory signals. Insulin sensitivity improves, making it easier to handle carbohydrates without storing excess fat. These effects don't end when the walk ends, they echo for hours. High-intensity workouts have their place, but they come with stress. Walking works differently. It keeps your body in a zone where fat is primary fuel, stress hormones remain controlled, and recovery is immediate. You can do it every day, and that's the secret. By the time your walk ends, your body has shifted. Fat has been mobilized. Mitochondria have been trained. Hormones have recalibrated. What feels simple is actually profound. With repetition, these changes reshape your physiology. Walking becomes more than movement. It becomes communication, a message to every cell that efficiency matters, balance matters, and progress does not require punishment. It begins with one step, quiet, ordinary, and powerful beyond measure.